Okay, so good evening, students. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Start our today's lecture. So in earlier classes, we have seen how to calculate the transfer function using signal flow graph, right? We have seen the formula for calculating the transfer function. That formula is called as Mason's gain formula. And by using that formula, we can calculate the overall transfer function of a signal from a signal flow graph, right? In this, from this lecture, we will start a new topic, and this is the main important topics of control system, you can say, right? Main important topic, when I say, it means that it is the essence of control system, right? Whatever we have seen till now, you can say that we have not yet we have not yet started the control system, right? But from this point onwards, we will be dealing with purely the subject that is control system. So we were dealing in the periphery of the control system. You can say how to calculate the transfer function, what are the different kinds of inputs that are required. All that things we have already covered. Tools that are required to analyze the control system. We have also seen like Laplace transform. We have seen, right. We have also seen different kinds of test signals such as impulse signals, such as unit step signals, such as ramp signals. We have seen many kinds of signals. So we will start a new topic, that is time domain analysis of system. Am I audible properly?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So we will see what is time domain analysis of a system. Right. In this part, we have already done studied what are the different kinds of system, right? And we have said that in control system, we will like to restrict ourselves to a special kind of a system that is called as LTI system, that is linear time invariant system, right? The system which is having the characteristics of a linear as well as time invariant, we will be dealing with only such kinds of system, right? So in this from this lecture, we will see time domain analysis of a system. Now, before we could directly indulge ourselves into the time domain analysis, we first want to see why we require this kinds of analysis. Anything that you are studying, you first need to ask a question: why you are studying that topic, whether why you are studying that subject as well, right? So first we will see why we require or why we study this time domain analysis. Because system we have already seen, system can be any physical system like mechanical system, electrical system, electronic system, hydraulic system, any system. System can be anything. Why you want to study its time domain analysis is the first question that you should ask. And once you understood why we want to study the time domain analysis, then we will do the time domain analysis and so on and so forth. Right? So why we require time domain analysis? The first point is that is motivation. Motivation means why we are studying certain topic. What is the motivation behind that topic, right? What is the motivation behind studying this time domain analysis? Is that how to know the performance of a control system for any input signal. How to know performance of control system to any input, right? This is the first motivation. What does it means? That suppose you are having a system which is controlled, right? Which is controlled. Now, how will you analyze how you will analyze its performance. Suppose you do not know about the history of the vehicle. You cannot apply randomly any input that is there to that system, because you do not know what its output will be. Once you are having the history, once you know what will be the behavior of a system to any kind of input, then you can use that system, right? So first, before using system, you should know how it will perform to different kinds of input. This is our first motivation. Second motivation, how to design a control system which meets the desired response and control requirements. So important point is desired response and control requirement. Now suppose you are a designer. Now suppose you are designer. Designer means you are making the system. You are making a system, or you are making any electrical system, consider it to be an RLC network, or you are making any mechanical system, consider it to be a bicycle, consider it to be a bike, right? You want that your system should respond in a desired manner. Your system should respond, providing a certain input, your system should give a desired response, right? Like when you're pressing the accelerator at 1000 rpm, if you have ever ride a bike or a car, if you are riding at 1000 rpm, that so how quickly your system will move forward, right? What is the acceleration will be provided to your system? So that is the desired response. So suppose you are a designer, you want that your system should give a desired response, and also you want that what are the different control aspects will be required for the system. So for this desired response and control requirement, you need to have a time domain analysis of a system. So again, what is the motivation behind studying this time domain analysis? That you should know what is the performance of a control system to any input. This is the first performance. Second motivation is, if you are a designer and now you want to design a system, you should, and you are having certain parameters. You beforehand you want that your car should reach at least maximum speed of 200 kilometer per hour. So what is the response? That is 200 kilometer is your desired response. So now you will start building a car with which will require a definite amount of cc. You can say, right? It should have a 1500 cc liter of engine, so on and so forth. So desired response and control requirement is also another thing which a designer should look at before designing any system. So these are the two motivations you should have before why we should study the time domain analysis. Just give me a second. So once we know that why we want to analyze, why we want to do time domain analysis, now we will see what is time domain analysis. What is time domain analysis? What is time domain analysis? So time domain analysis refers to analysis of a system performance in time. Analysis of system performance. Analysis of system performance in time. Right? So what does it mean? Suppose if you are having a system and if you are providing certain input, like if you are providing this kind of input, suppose this is the input signal to any system, right? A system can be physical system, and this x-axis is in time. Let us suppose magnitude is, let us suppose that magnitude is a, right? Now what will be the response of the system? If this is my input, it has to provide some output. Let us suppose that output is like this, where this is also a x-axis is also in time domain, and let us suppose now the magnitude from A is changed to B, because there will be some change in the output as compared with the input, right? So let us suppose the magnitude is become B. So now when you analyze this time domain with respect to the time, what is the input, and with respect to the time, what is the output? When you analyze system performance in time, that is called as time domain analysis, right? Like after 1 second, if you are providing the input for 1 second, what will be the output in that amount of time? So that is called as time domain analysis. Now, there are two common ways of analyzing system response. Two ways of analyzing system response. There are two ways through which you can analyze system response. First one is natural response, and forced response. And second is transient response and steady state response. Now that you know what is time domain analysis, time domain analysis means you're doing the analysis with respect to time, right? Now there are two ways you can analyze system response. First is natural response or forced response. Second one is transient response and steady state response. We will see this both response one by one. In time domain, there are two types of responses. First one is natural response and forced response. Second one is transient response and steady state response. We will see both of them one by one. What is natural response? Natural and forced responses. So first one is your natural response. What is the natural response of a system? So it means that system's response to the initial condition with all the external forces are set to be zero. System response to initial conditions with all external forces set to zero. What does this mean? You can see system response to the initial condition with all the external forces set to zero. What does it mean? So suppose for an example, we are having an RLC network. Again, this is your input voltage. This is your R, L, and C. This is C. This is your L, and this is your R, right? V in is your external force. V in is your external force. So what does natural response means? System response to the initial condition. Like we are considering this RLC network. This is an RLC network. What initial condition it could be? It could have a current flowing through an inductor and a voltage across this capacitor. Let us suppose that initially the voltage across the capacitor is VC. Let us suppose that voltage across the capacitor is VC, right? So if a voltage across the capacitor is VC, now what we will do? We will set all the external forces to zero. If you are having a voltage source, it will be zero. If you are having a current source, it will be zero. Or you can also say external or independent. Whatever you want, both are same. So what we will do is we will short circuit this voltage voltage source, and we will be having only R, L, and C. Now we will study the response of this system till the capacitor voltage. If suppose capacitor voltage right now is here, let us suppose this is VC. Now we will study the system response till the capacitor voltage becomes zero. Right, this is time. This is VC. Till the moment the capacitor voltage becomes zero, we will study what is the response of the system. So that response is a natural response. Why we are calling it as a natural? Because we are not using any external force. It is the response due to the initial conditions. Are you getting my point?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So this is the first one, that is natural response, and in it there is second response that is called as forced response. So likewise, the natural response, forced response, as you can see by the name, it is a response due to external oblique independent sources. It is a response due to external or independent sources. Now, once the capacitor voltage is become zero, now you will again consider a RLC network and again consider RLC. This is C, this is L, and this is R. You will again consider an external. You can see I have again joined an external voltage source. Now you will again study the response, or you can again study how your system is responding to this input Vi. So this is called as forced response. So the response due to the external or independent source is called as forced response. Now the system response totally here total response will be equal to natural response plus forced response. What does this means? This means that if you are having this RLC network and if you want to analyze this RLC network, first you will consider what will be its natural response, then you will calculate what will be the response due to the external voltage source, and finally the total response can be calculated by summing the natural response plus forced response. So this is the total response of a system. Similarly, we will see transient and steady state, transient and steady state response. What does this mean? So first is transient response. I'm denoting it transient response by Y, small y, subscript TR, that is transient. TR stands for transient, and T. Why I'm writing T? Because it is time domain analysis. So Y is right now is output or response. You can say Y as output or response. TR is the subscript for transient response. It's T and R. So this is the subscript for transient response. And T I'm writing here because we are analyzing the system performance in time domain. So understand this properly. So transient response by you can. This is just I'm for denoting purpose. You can see how I have denoted by small y. Whenever you're in control system, whenever we are, because there has to be some uniform rule. Whenever we are dealing in time domain, we use small letters, and whenever we are dealing in frequency domain, we usually write capital letter. There is capital Y, right? So here you can see I have written small y. TR is a subscript which represents transient response, and T in a bracket I have written. It means that we are dealing in time domain. So what is transient response? A part of the time response that goes to zero as time tends to be large. I can write part of time response. Part of time response that goes to zero as time tends to be large. transient response can be tied to any effect that affects equilibrium of a system. Okay, you can see, you can ignore that. So transient response is part of the time response, part of the time response that goes to zero as time tends to be large, right? Suppose you are providing now, suppose you are having any system and you are providing any input to that system, right? It might happen that system may first react absurdly. System may react like the way you do not want the system to be reacting. System may react because you are starting the system at from initial conditions. A system before that was at rest. A system may react differently, right? And that different behavior of the system may die out after some time. So that part is called as transient part. You can also again see that part of the time response that goes to zero as time tends to be large. We will see this in detail when we are dealing specific cases, right? What is a transient response? But this transient response is very important. Just by for definition, you can study, you can learn that part of time response. Time response is what we are dealing with that goes to zero, or you can also say that decays, or you can also say that decays as the time tends to be large. As you are increasing the time, you can say that that is a system. So, for example, let us suppose I am giving an input that is unit step, right? This is a unit step. This is time. This is just a rough example, right? I'm for explaining. I'm just showing you. Again, you are providing this input to any system. This is our input side, and this is our output side, right? Now, for this step input, your system will. What will your system response can be? Your system can respond like this. Let us just say, you can see finally it is settling down to 1, which is the magnitude of the input. But initially till this period your system is behaving absurdly. You can see it is having some first it is going upward, then it is going downward, and then upward again. So it is kind of oscillating around the point at which it wants to settle down. It is the response is oscillating. But you can also see as you're moving forward in time domain, the oscillation is decreasing, and finally it dies out at this instant. At this instant, the oscillation dies out, and from this instant, it is constant. So this from this part to this part, you can say the system is working in transient domain or transient time. We'll see again in detail, very detail, when we are dealing specific case. So for now, you can just understand what is a transient response. A transient response is a part of time response that goes to zero as time tends to be large. Okay. Now we will see. Second one was steady state response. Again, it is denoted by Y, small y, S, S. S stands for steady, and another state S is another is S is for state, so steady state, and T stands for time. So what is the steady state? Steady state response is the time response of a system after the transient practically vanishes. So it is response of system. It is a response of a system after the transient practically vanishes or dies out as time goes to infinity. Again, we will see by the same example only. So you can see till this point, from this point to this point, the system is operating in transient domain. And once the transient is died out, we can say that from this period onwards to infinite time, our system is operating in steady state. From this part to this part, system is operating in transient state. From this part onwards, our system is operating in steady state. So you can see it is a response of a system after the transient practically vanishes. So you can see from this point onwards, there is no oscillations. There is no oscillations in the response. So it means that the transient is vanishes. The transient state is vanishes, and from this state onward, we are calling this is just a nomenclature. Some people have come and they have done a uniform analysis so that it will be uniform throughout the globe. The part of the response to which the system is oscillating, if we are calling it as a transient response, and after that, once the transient state dies out, we are calling that as a steady state. So finally, here also total response. Total response. We have studied transient and we have studied steady state also. So total response, you can write it as YT, and total response will be equal to transient response plus steady state response. I can write it like this. The total response of a system can be written as transient response and steady state response. Is it okay?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So now we will move forward. So we have seen transient response and steady state response. Now from this point onwards, we will be considering what will be the theme of coming lectures. I'm just telling you. Let us suppose we are having a system. As I have told you in earlier classes also, this system, what we will do is we will consider it to be a general transfer function. General transfer function of this system. And what we will do is we will provide different test inputs. And we will study the response of this system. And what is a test input? When I say test input, we have already seen some of the signals. That is called unit impulse. It can be unit impulse. It can be unit step. It can be unit ramp. It can be unit parabolic. We have already studied what are the units impulse, step, and ramp signal and parabolic signal. We have also seen what will be its Laplace transform, how it looks like in time domain. We have seen that, right? So I will not again discussing all these standard signals. But right now, what I will be doing is I will be considering one system. First, there are two kinds of system that we will be studying. First one is first order. Second one is second order. Right? First order and second order. What kinds of system we are studying? What we will study? First order system and second order system. What is order means? Order means number of poles. Number of poles. So if we are having one pole, we are calling it as a first order. Pole means, if you see in a transfer function, poles are in denominator, right? If this is denominator, this is my numerator. If we are having one pole, then we are calling it as a first order, right? And if you are having two poles, then we are calling it a second order. Now, you will ask, sir, what about the higher orders? There can be third order system also. There can be fourth order system also. There can be 100th order system also. You might ask, or you should have asked, or you can ask, because this is an online platform. So I'm just making questions by myself and replying to all of you. We will be studying two kinds of system: first order system and second order system. Now, you people might ask, should ask, sir, what about higher order system, like fourth order, third order, or 100th order for that case? So I will say the higher order system can be approximated to second order system. Though this is not in our syllabus, how to do approximation and all, but just for your knowledge, there can be system more than two order, second order also. There can be system of 100th order. That means there can be 100 poles in that system. So if you are having 100th order system, what we will do, we will approximate that system to second order system that we are studying, right? Is it okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So now I will not discuss about these, because these things have already been covered, right? basically people start discussing this about right now. So there will be break of sequence. So therefore I have uh, given brief about these signals in the earlier lectures. Now I will directly jump into our first order system, right? And then I will provide different inputs, and then we will study its difference response in time, where we will study in time. And there can be another thing, that is frequency. We are not studying right now in frequency, but we are studying in time. Therefore, we are calling it as a time domain. What is the concept? Again, we are having a system. System can be first order or second order, right? First order and second order. Let us suppose that we will study we will study both of them, first order and second order. Let us suppose first we will take up first order. We will provide different kinds of input, right? These four inputs are seen here. We will study its response in time domain. That is why we are calling it the time domain analysis, right? So we will directly jump into our first order system. So you can see first order system, right? I can also write it as like this. First, both are same thing. First order system. So as I've told you, what is first order? That means there is one pole of there is only one pole of the system. So let us suppose that I am writing 1 upon tau s. This is a general form I have considered. Input is, let us suppose, Rs. Output is C of s. This is a block diagram that we have already block diagram representation that we have already discussed in our previous lecture. So you can draw the graph like that, like this, right? Or you can also draw the diagram like this. I can add. You can see what will be the gain of this path. Can anyone tell me? It is 1 because nothing is mentioned. That means 1, right? What is the gain from this?
Yes, sir.
Right? So I can also add one block and write here 1. Right? If block is not 1, you can consider this that feedback path gain is 1. Right? Both are same. For now, let me remove this. So this is first order. You can see. For generalized purpose, I have considered it to be tau, right? And anything multiplied by s, we can call it as tau. Depending upon the system, you can give any value of tau. What is first order? System with only one pole. System with only one pole is called as first order system. So you can see what is, if you consider 1 by tau s, you can see there is only one pole, right? You can see there is one s in the denominator. You can see here. So there is, what is the power of s? You can see here power of s is 1, right? So there is only one power. That means there is only one pole. Therefore, we are calling it as a first order system. Let me remove this also. Right. So can anyone tell me what will be its transfer function? Transfer function is equal to output, that is CS, input, that is RS. What will be its transfer function?
CS by RS.
Yes, CS by RS. What will be the transfer function?
1 by tau s.
No, we have seen how to calculate the transfer function of a unity feedback system. What is the formula?
1 by
That is GS upon
GS or 1 by G.
GS into HS. This is the formula.
Yes, sir.
Anyone else? Do you guys remember this formula? GS upon 1 plus GS into HS. We have solved this and we have obtained this formula for unity feedback system, right? Here, right now, GS is equal to 1 upon tau s.
1 upon
And
tau s.
HS is equal to 1. Right? This is a formula for negative feedback system, right? GS is the forward path gain. This is called as GS. And HS is the negative or feedback gain. right now HS is considered to be 1. You can see. So you can calculate the transformation, that is CS upon RS will be equal to GS, that is 1 upon tau S upon 1 plus 1 upon tau S into 1. So this will be equal
So
to
1 by tau S plus 1.
tau S plus 1 upon tau S. So tau S will cancel out. So this will be equal to 1 upon tau S plus 1.
Tau S plus 1.
Okay. So you can see CS upon RS is equal to 1 upon tau S plus 1. So you can also see from here, number of poles here is 1. If you consider zeros are given by the numerator, so there are no zeros. So you can write here zeros are 0. And poles, how many poles are there? There is only one pole. And what is the location of pole? Tau S plus 1 is equal to 0. Tau S will be equal to minus 1. So S will be equal to minus 1 by tau. So there is one pole which is at minus 1 by tau, right? Now what we
Yes,
will do?
sir.
Now what we will do is, you can see RS is what? RS is input, right? RS is input. What we will do? We will take CS is equal to RS multiplied by 1 upon tau S plus 1. Now what will be the theme? Theme will be, now we will consider, we want to obtain CS in time domain, because we want to do time domain analysis. Right now this is in frequency domain. You can see that we have used the Laplace transform, right? This is in S domain. So what we will do? We want C of t, because we want to convert this C of S to C of t, because we want to do analysis in time domain.
Inverse
And
Laplace transform.
yes, and but inverse Laplace transform, that is correct. But right now we are not aware what will be R of S. So for R of S, we will consider different signals, like impulse signals. First we will consider one by one: impulse signal, then unit step signal, then ramp signal, then our parabolic signal. So these are the 4 different signals that we will consider one by one, and we will obtain C of t. What we will do, again, I'm telling you, we will consider this input signals, that is impulse, step, ramp, and parabolic, and we will calculate individual response, right? So just first case means we are considering unit impulse input, right? We are considering unit impulse input. Again, I'm drawing that diagram. There is 1 upon tau S. This is minus. Here, input right now is RT is equal to del T. Now we want to calculate what will be the CT, right? You can write here CS. And what is the Laplace transform of del T?
1 by S.
Laplace transform of del T, can anyone tell me? Del T is equal to 1 and 0. It will be equal to 1 when T will be equal to 0, and it will be equal to 0 when T is not equal to 1. Now Laplace transform of del T is how much? We have to see that.
So it's 1 by S.
No, 1 by S is the Laplace transform of unit step signal, right? Again,
Okay,
Laplace
okay.
transform of del T is 1. Laplace transform of UT is, we have seen all this, 1 by S. Laplace transform of ramp is 1 by S square. Laplace transform of parabola is 1 by S cube. Is it okay?
Yes, sir. Right, sir.
Right. So CS is equal to RS into 1 upon tau S plus 1. Now RS is equal to, that is impulse, that is 1. So I am writing here 1 into tau S plus 1 CS. Now we want to calculate CT. CT will be equal to Laplace inverse of C of S. That will be equal to Laplace inverse of 1 upon tau S plus 1. So we have already seen many problems where we want to calculate Laplace transform, and we have also seen many problems where we want to calculate the inverse Laplace transform. So again, I will not be dealing with that, how to calculate the Laplace and inverse Laplace. I will be leaving it up to you. You just check it whether this is right or not right. If you face any problem, you let me know, right? I'm directly writing here CT. If you take here tau common, you can see Laplace inverse of, if you take tau common, so this will be tau 1 upon S plus 1 by tau. Can anyone tell me what will be the Laplace inverse of 1 upon s plus 1 by tau?
So e to the power minus 1 by tau.
Right. So 1 by tau into e to the power minus t by tau. So this is Ct. And just for safe side, you can write here, multiply the whole function by u of t, right? Why I'm multiplying by u of t? It means that this response is only valid for t greater than 0, right? Ut means how ut looks like. You can see this is 1, this is ut. If you are multiplying any response to ut, you can see magnitude is 1. Anything multiplied by 1 will be that anything only, right? A multiplied by 1 will give you A. B multiplied by 1 will give you B. So you can see, you can, for safe side, you can write here ut. Is it okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So this is my system response to impulse input. We have obtained in time domain. Now, if you want to see how our system will look like, so suppose you are providing a impulse input. This is time. This is suppose your impulse signal. How does impulse signal look like? Like this. Like this is your impulse signal, and its response. This is your input. Now at t is equal to 0, what is the value of this Ct? At t is equal to 0. At t is equal to 0, what will be Ct?
1.
Ct is equal to 1 by tau e to the power minus t by tau. At t is equal to 0, so C0 will be equal to 1 by tau e to the
1 by
power
tau.
0 minus 0 by tau. This will be equal to how much? 1 by tau e to the power 0. E to the power, anything to the power 0 will be 1. So this will be equal to 1 by tau.
1 by tau, sir.
So at t is equal to 0, what is the value of Ct? 1 by tau. So you can write here 1 by tau. And as t tends to infinite, what is the value of Ct? 1 by tau e to the power minus infinite by tau. So this will be equal to 1 by tau e to the power
Infinity,
minus e to the power minus infinite. Anything to the power minus
Okay, so
infinite is how
0.
much? This will be 0, right? Because anything to the power infinite is equal to 0, and 0 multiplied by 1 by tau will be equal to 0. So you can see
0, yes, sir.
as the time is increasing, the system response is decaying, and finally it will decay down to 0.
Yes,
see.
sir. Decaying exponential function.
Yes. So you can see here e to the power minus t by tau, 1 by tau. This is what? This is your output, or you can also call it as Ct. This is your input, that is RT. So when you're giving an input, you can see when you're giving an input of impulse to first order system, how its response will look like. You can see here. You can study its response. This is the how your system is responding to an unit impulse input. Right? The value of tau can change, right? The only thing which can change here is tau. Tau can be large, tau can be less, right? Here, so you can see what is the part that is changing. If you want to see here, what is the transient part and what is the steady state part. There are two parts of a response. There is a transient part and there is a steady state part. By definition, what we meant by transient part, it is a part of time response that goes to 0 as time tends to be large. What is the part that is going to be 0 here? You can see this is the part which is going to be 0. Earlier
Yes,
it was
sir.
1 by tau and now it is going to 0. You can see. And by definition, what is the transient? What is the transient meaning? The definition of transient is the part of the time response which goes to 0 as time tends to be large. So I can write here, what is my transient part? My transient part is equal to 1 by tau e to the power minus t by tau, because it is going to 0. As time is increasing, it is decaying, and ultimately it is becoming 0. And what is the steady state response? What is the steady state part? By definition, what is meant by steady state? So steady state is the time
So
response.
transient will vanish out.
After
Yes.
the transient part, because transient part
Yes.
will vanish
Yes.
from
So
zero.
from here to here, it is transient response. From this part onward, it is steady state response. So can anyone tell me what is my steady state response? It is zero.
Zero, sir.
Zero.
It is zero, right? So I can write YTR, that is transient. YTR is 1 by tau e to the power minus t by tau. And YSS, that is steady state, is zero. So Y total, or you can write Y total, is equal to YTR plus YSS. So this response I have divided into two parts, that is transient response and steady state. So for this system, you can say that for impulse input, the first order system, there is no steady state response. The steady state response is zero, which is obvious. Why? Which is obvious? You can see you're only providing input at zero instant. If you're providing at only zero instant, how can you expect that your response should be present at 100 times? Are you getting my point? You're only providing input at one instant. So for that, you're getting a response of 1 by tau here. You can see at zero instant, what is the response you're getting? But slowly and steadily, it is decaying. So in the response is divided into two parts, that is transient part and steady state part. Transient part is decaying and is becoming zero. After transient part is over, we are having steady state part. But right now, you can see steady state part is zero. We will consider second input, that is unit step. You will find there that there is having finite amounts of steady state response. So total response is a part of transient as well as steady state. Now we will consider unit step. Again, second case. Unit step input. Sometimes it is also called as step response. Sometimes it is also called as step response. Why we are calling it as a step response? Because we are considering input to be unit step, right? Whatever way you want to call it, meaning is same. You can call it as a step response, or impulse response, or ramp response, or you can call it as unit step response, right? So CS upon RS, our transfer function was 1 upon tau s plus 1. This was our transfer function. Is it okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So right now we have considered ut. So Laplace transform of ut will be how much? 1 by s. That is equal to r of s. So CS will be equal to rs multiplied by 1 upon tau s plus 1. Now this second case, we are providing input as unit step. So CS will be equal to 1 upon s multiplied by tau s plus 1. So CT, you have to calculate CT. CT will be equal to Laplace inverse of C of s. Again, you have to calculate the Laplace inverse of this function. So for this, what you will do is you will use partial fraction. We have seen how to use partial fraction in our previous classes. Is it not? We have seen it or not?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So 1 upon s tau s plus 1. We want that we want to do is partial fraction. So a upon s plus b upon tau s plus 1. So this will be equal to a s tau plus 1 plus b into s. So this is 1. So s is equal to 0. If you put s is equal to 0, what will be the value of a? What will be the value of a if you put s? A is equal to 1, right?
Yes, sir.
If you put s is equal to minus 1 by tau, put s is equal to minus 1 by tau. So this will be, a will be 0, coefficient of a will be 0, and b will be equal to how much?
B will be minus tau.
B will be equal to
Minus tau.
By tau.
just check. If you put a, if you put s is equal to minus 1 by tau, and tau will, so this will, a will be 0, so b will be equal to minus tau. Is it okay?
Yes, sir. Minus tau.
Okay. So let me just check it. So this we can write CT. We can write as Laplace inverse of a, that is a is equal to 1 by s minus b is equal to minus tau upon tau s plus 1. Is it okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So Laplace inverse of 1 by s, take tau common from this denominator. So tau upon tau s plus 1 by tau. So tau will cancel out. So Laplace inverse of 1 by s minus 1 upon s plus 1 by tau. Calculate this. What is the Laplace inverse of 1 by s? Is 1. That is unit step. Minus, what is the Laplace inverse? What will be the Laplace inverse of this function? E to the power minus t by tau multiplied by qt. Is it okay?
Yes, sir.
Just check it. If you have any issues, let me know fast. Any problem?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Okay. Now we have obtained CT. Now we will want to see how this CT is looking like, right? So first we will draw input. How is the input looking? Input is our unit step. This is our input. Unit step is, this is our unit step signal. This is 1. In magnitude is 1. This is our input, right? Or you can also call as RT. RT is our input. Now this is a input. Now calculate CT for 0. If t is equal to 0, what is the value of CT?
Sir, 0.
If t is equal to 0, what is the value of CT? Anyone else? 1 minus e to the power minus 0 upon tau, right? E to the power minus 0, e to the power 0 is 1.
Yes. Yes,
So
sir.
this will be 0,
Value is 0.
right? What is the value of c when it is equal to infinite?
Sir, 1.
1.
This will be equal to 1 minus 0. So this will be equal to 1. So you can see, now I will draw its response. So at infinite, what is our value? You can see 1. If I want to draw, it will be something like this. This is 1. You can see this is our output. This is, or you can also call it as CT. So at t is equal to 0, the value of CT is, you can see 0, and it is at infinite it is equal to 1, which is obvious because you are providing 1 as an input, right? You can see here at infinite the input is 1, right? So whatever the output you should get will be equal to your input only. So now here you can see this part, initially the system, so from where to where I can call it as a transient response. From which part to which part? What is the part in this response that is decaying? Can anyone tell me? You can see initially this, you can see this initially, yes, you can see initially this is equal to 1, and finally this part is becoming what?
0.
0. Initially it is 1 and it is becoming 0. So what is the definition of transient? What is the definition of transient? It is a part of a time response that goes to 0 as time tends to infinite. So if I want to write here transient, the transient part in this system is YTR t. So transient part is minus e to the power minus t by tau. And what is the steady state part? That is after the transient part. So steady state part is 1. So from this point to this point, if I say, you can see here from this point to this point, I can call it as transient response. And from this point onwards, I can call it as steady state response. Why? Because transient has died out at this point. At this point, transient vanishes. Is it okay?
Yes, sir.
So y total will be equal to what? YSS plus YTR. So YSS is 1 minus e to the power minus t by tau. So this is the final function that you are getting, which is equal, which is this. Now, are you able to visualize what is the transient part? What will be the transient part? What will be the steady state part? How your system is responding to different input? Is it okay? Are you understanding?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay, so we will stop here. Let me just rewind what we have seen. So from in tomorrow's class, we will consider the input to be ramp, and we will consider the input to be parabolic. For two cases, we will be seeing. Now, let me rewind what we have seen in today's class, so that right.
Sir, can you share today's recording?
Yes, I will send. Okay, so we have started with time domain analysis of a system. First, we have seen why we want to do time domain analysis. Why we want to do time domain analysis. First, we are asking that. So, to know the performance of a control system to any input. If performance means what are its characteristics, or how your system is responding to different input. In order to calculate, we are doing time domain analysis. Second one is that if you are a designer, someone has to design something, then only a system can come up. So if you are having desired response, that suppose if you are having desired response means if you want to design a system, a car that can go up to 100 km per hour or 300 km per hour, or suppose you are designing a bullet train. So designing of a bullet train will be very different from designing of a local train, right? Both the designing parameters will be different when you're designing a bullet train and when you're designing a local train. The parameters will be different. So first important parameter that you should have in your hand before you start designing is desired response. Second thing is control requirement. Suppose now your system is running at some instant, and you want to control to any external disturbance. So you can use a control requirement also. So this is another motivation for studying time domain analysis. Is it okay?
Yes, sir.
Please. Yes. So now we will see, once we have understood why we want to do time domain analysis. Now we are asking the question: what is time domain analysis? We are asking what is the question? What is time domain analysis? So analysis of a system in time. Time means in x-axis you can see I have written time. Another thing that you can analyze is frequency. So we will see frequency analysis later on in our course, right? Right now we are dealing in time. So you can see all the things response we are dealing in time. So there are two ways: natural response and forced response, transient response and steady state response. So natural response and forced response, you can see what is the natural response. Natural response is due to the initial condition. Suppose you are having an RLC and you are having capacitor voltage before you are applying this volt beam. So one response will be due to the capacitor voltage. First we will study this, then we will force responses, we will apply input voltage, and then we will study. So total response will be natural response plus force response. Similarly, transient and steady state response, you can see transient response is YTRT, subscript TR, that is stands for transient and response. So part of the time response that goes to zero as time tends to be large. So this is, you can see from here to here, it is having some kind of oscillation. So we are calling this as a transient time. And after the transient time is over, the steady state part starts of any system response. So total response is transient response plus steady state response. Now we are considering system. To this system, we are providing different kinds of input. You can see here. And to this different kinds of input, we will study what is the different responses. Right? Now I have told you that we will only consider up to second order system. It's first order system and second order system. What does order mean? Total number of closed loop pool. Right? Why we are not considering higher order system? Because it can be approximated to second order system. This is though not in our syllabus, but I have just told you. So you can see first we have studied this first order system. So this is first order system. You can see here we have calculated its transfer function. You can see G upon 1 plus GH is our formula for calculating the transfer function of a feedback system, negative feedback system. So the transfer function that we are getting is 1 upon tau s plus 1. Now RS, we are one by one we will calculate for different inputs. First case we are considering unit impulse. You can see Laplace transform of RT. So RS will be equal to 1. So you can see we have calculated CT. This is your input del t, and this is the response. You can see initially at t is equal to 0, it is having 1 by tau, and which is decaying, and at this instant that it is already almost decayed. So from here to here, this is the transient part because it is decaying, and from here steady state part starts. So steady state response of this input is 0. Transient response is 1 by tau e to the power minus t by tau. Second case is unit step. In this case, R of S will be equal to 1 by S. So you can see here 1 by S. Now we have done in partial fraction, you can see here, and finally we have obtained this result 1 minus e to the power minus t by tau. So this is our input. Now if you put C is equal to 0, our first will be equal to, at 0, our magnitude of response is 0. You can see here. At t is equal to infinite, our magnitude of response is 1. So you can see here at infinite, let's suppose that this is infinite time. Because infinite I cannot show you, so I am considering that this is infinite. At infinite it is 1. You can see here I have written magnitude here 1. So from here to here we are calling it as a transient response. Why? Because this kind of response is decaying and it vanishes at this point. So from this point to this point is transient part. What is the transient part? Transient part is minus e to the power minus t by tau. This is our transient part in our response. And what is the steady state response? That is equal to 1. So this is equal to 1. Is it okay? Any doubt? Anyone is having any doubt?
No, sir.
Sir,
Yes.
sir, natural means a force response means that we have to apply the signals from external.
Yes, whatever the external signals you are having, like in this case, we are having external signal as Vn. RLC are the parameters or the passive elements you can see. So if you apply Vin, that will be called as forced response. That this Vin can be your step input, this Vin can be your impulse input, this Vin can also be your ramp input, right? Or whatever input, if you want to give a pulse input, if you want to give any arbitrary kind of a signal, like sinusoidal signal, that also can be Vin. So that is called as forced response. Okay.
A natural response means that we will obtain from the
Yes, if there are initial condition means if it is the capacitor, suppose in this case, if this capacitor is having some charge, if this inductor is having some current, so what will be the response? That will be called as natural response, right?
Okay, sir.
Any more doubt?
No, sir.
Anyone else has any doubt? Okay, so from next lecture we will consider the ramp input and parabolic input. Okay. Just wait, I will take attendance.